Attention, Marvel Cosmic Invasion fans! Listen up for a second. You know that feeling of, I need more of this right now? Well, here it is. There's a wave of new games arriving that are practically mandatory if you enjoy arcade action, co-op, and a whole lot of brawling. I'm going to show you 10 titles that, in my mind, make perfect sense and sit on the same shelf as Cosmic Invasion, and some of them even promise to be better than the Marvel game itself. So come with me, I'm Matthew, and the video is about to start. Scott Pilgrim EX is a beat-em-up that brings back the same developers from the 2010 classic, but now with a much more ambitious and modern vision of the genre. Developed by Tribute Games, the same team behind TMNT, Shredder's Revenge, and Marvel Cosmic Invasion, and featuring an original script by series creator Brian Lee O'Malley, this game promises to deliver that same pixelated, chaotic energy, but without that feeling of grinding through enemies for hours that the original had. The premise is insane. Toronto is dominated by three rival gangs, vegans, robots, and demons, and when Sex Bob-omb's instruments are stolen, Scott and Ramona must travel through space and time to recover them. The game arrives in 2026 with 7 playable characters, including some of Ramona's evil exes. The big draw that brings Scott Pilgrim EX close to Marvel Cosmic Invasion is the evolution in combat design here. Enemies are no longer the damage sponges they were in the 2010 game. Every hit has real weight, combos are more stylish and intuitive, and you can experiment with wacky weapons and completely over-the-top special attacks. The badge system allows you to customize your characters with bonuses and stat upgrades, creating personalized builds that completely change your playstyle. It's that same chaotic ballet of punches philosophy that Tribute Games has perfected, where improvisation and strategy mix in a frantic brawl that never feels repetitive or tiring. But what truly sets EX apart from other beat-em-ups is the interconnected open-world structure. Instead of selecting stages from a menu, you explore a fully connected 2D Toronto, going from the suburbs to the beaches. Yes, Toronto has beaches now, completing quests, meeting new and old characters, and discovering secret areas. Throughout the gameplay, you are never pulled away from the map. Everything flows organically as you transition between chapters and mission objectives. This Metroidvania approach to non-linear exploration gives a much more cohesive sense of adventure, where the entire city feels alive and full of possibilities to discover at your own pace. The 4-player co-op, local or online, adds that extra layer of controlled chaos that Marvel Cosmic Invasion fans will recognize immediately. All player coins go into a shared pool at shops, forcing group decisions on whether to spend on healing, food, items, or gear. It might seem messy, but it's exactly this chaotic collective mentality that makes a cooperative beat-em-up truly shine. With the Anamanaguchi soundtrack returning and that chunky, expressive pixel art visual, Scott Pilgrim EX seems to be completely reshaping what it means to be a modern pixelated beat-em-up, keeping the nostalgia while delivering mechanics that truly respect your time and skill. Mayhem Brawler 2? Best of Both Worlds is a beat-em-up that takes the nostalgic essence of 90 seconds arcades and injects modern roguelite and RPG mechanics in a way that feels tailor-made for those who enjoyed Marvel Cosmic Invasion. Developed by Hero Concept, the game features a completely wild premise. You can switch between 2 timelines separated by 20 years, simultaneously controlling characters from the past and the present to face opponents from both eras. On one side, we have the legendary Agent Stellar commanding the historical team, and on the other, the explosive She-Wolf, now a mayoral candidate, leading the present timeline in Mayhem City. There are 8 playable heroes in total, each with unique abilities, facing over 40 different types of opponents. The time travel mechanic isn't just cosmetic, it completely changes the gameplay dynamic. You can switch timelines instantly during stages, without loading screens or pauses, changing characters, enemies, and even the complete visual look of the environment in real time. This fluid transition creates a frantic pace where you need to think strategically about which timeline to use in each situation, as the roguelite elements ensure every playthrough is different. Enemies change position and composition every time you play a stage. The combat system has evolved significantly from the first game, featuring light and heavy attacks, special moves, area of effect attacks, and a much freer combo system that allows you to launch enemies into the air and create devastating sequences. What brings Mayhem Brawler 2 close to Marvel Cosmic Invasion is precisely this fusion of classic mechanics with modern progression. The RPG and roguelite elements create a rich and addictive endgame, where each new run brings different experiences through customized builds and narrative choices that shape the story. The hand-drawn comic book visuals with frame-by-frame animations maintain that vibrant retro aesthetic, but the backgrounds are now fully 3D, giving incredible depth to the environments of Mayhem City. The choice-based narrative with full voice acting adds that extra layer of immersion that makes you truly care about what's happening on screen. Co-op mode supports up to 4 players online or local, allowing you and your friends to embark on this temporal adventure together. Scheduled for a 2026 release on PC and PlayStation following a successful Kickstarter campaign, the game promises to deliver exactly what modern beat-em-up fans are looking for: respect for the genre's roots, but without being afraid to innovate. If you enjoy the stylish, brawling, and refined combat design of Marvel Cosmic Invasion, Mayhem Brawler 2 definitely deserves to be on your radar. It's the kind of game that perfectly understands what makes a beat-em-up work in 2026 without losing the arcade soul that defines the genre. If you like games with an over-the-top vibe, you need to keep an eye on Toxic Crusaders. Retroware, the developer, delayed the release to early 2026 to ensure polish across all platforms. The game is an absurd tribute to the 90 Seconds cartoon and Troma classics, bringing Toxie and his gang of radioactive misfits back to clean up the streets of Tromaville. The vibe here is pure, controlled chaos. Vibrant pixel art, crude humor, and that delicious feeling of couch co-op brawling that we love so much. What makes this title mandatory for fans of modern beat-em-ups is the cast of 7 playable characters, each with very distinct mechanics. Besides classics like Toxie and No Zone, you can play as Yvonne, Toxie's girlfriend who fights by singing or trying to, and even Mrs. Junko, Toxie's mom. Imagine cleaning up the city by hitting enemies with a purse as an elderly lady. It's this kind of crazy creativity that sets the game apart. Combat promises to be deep, with crushing combos and screen-filling green slime specials, all supporting up to 4 simultaneous players. The visual and sound experience is a show in itself. The cutscenes have a comic book style and are voiced by the Team 4-star crew, yes, the ones from Dragon Ball Z Abridged, ensuring sharp and hilarious writing. The levels visit iconic and disgusting locations, from polluted streets to Planet Smogula, featuring cameos from Troma cult films. The game is a treat full of references for those familiar with the universe, but it works perfectly just as a solid and fun brawler for anyone who just wants to beat up mutants. If you like the complexity and look of Marvel Cosmic Invasion, Toxic Crusaders will deliver that with an extra layer of bizarre humor and uncompromising fun. It's the perfect game to get the gang together on the weekend, order a pizza, and laugh at the madness happening on screen while you try to save the world from Dr. Killamoff's pollution. Rushing Beat X, Return of Brawl Brothers is one of those incredible promises that prove how the beat-em-up genre is more alive than ever in 2026. In development by City Connection, the game is a direct sequel to the classic Super Nintendo trilogy known in the West as Rival Turf, Brawl Brothers, and the Peacekeepers. Modernized with incredible care for Marvel Cosmic Invasion fans, the release is confirmed for March 2026, and the story takes place a year after the original incidents, bringing back veterans Rick Norton and Douglas Bild to face a new threat involving the Zika virus and cybernetic clones. It has that 90 seconds urban sci-fi vibe, but now with hand-drawn HD graphics that stay true to the original look. The combat system has been completely overhauled to please both newcomers and hardcore players. We now have auto combo mechanics for those who just want to button mash. But the real depth lies in the cancel system, where you can interrupt hits to initiate jumps, dashes, or counters, keeping constant pressure on enemies. A very cool new addition is Rage Mode. If you take too much damage, you can activate a temporary state of fury to turn the tide, plus the devastating Beat Rush, a decisive special move that clears the screen. And of course, the classic mechanic of picking up food from the ground has evolved. Now you can combine items to create more potent heals, adding an extra layer of strategy. For those who enjoy the character variety in Marvel Cosmic Invasion, here we have 6 playable fighters, including newcomer Kahlua, an intern at Rick's gym. Each character has well-defined attributes for strength, speed, and jumping, which highly encourages replaying with different heroes. The game shines in 2-player local co-op, where synchronizing combos and covering your partner's back becomes essential in the later stages. The levels are varied and nostalgic. It even has the classic bridge stage. Weapons are numerous, and the impact of the hits is satisfying. If you miss that heavier and more tactical street fighting style, but with the fluidity of modern games, Rushing Beat X promises exactly that. It's an interesting comeback that doesn't just appeal to nostalgia, but stands on its own as a brawler. I really hope the game delivers on all of it. Age of Barbarians Chronicles is the kind of game I easily put on the mandatory list for anyone who enjoys brawling with personality and exaggeration only here. Instead of colorful superheroes, we enter a very 80 seconds sword and sorcery world. Dirty, brutal, and merciless. It's set for release on the 5th of March 2026 on PC via Steam, and the pitch already makes the tone clear. An action RPG focused on bloody combat, exploration, and a hardcore barbarian fantasy vibe. To me, the hook is exactly this contrast. The same let's fight and save the day energy, but with blood, magic, and revenge instead of comic book quips. In the story, you lead King Zodan and Queen Oracle Yana on a desperate mission to save their people and free their daughter, Sharon, from the clutches of Zordax the Inhuman. This already won me over because it's that simple, direct narrative that goes so well with an action game. Clear objective, a villain with a name straight off a VHS cover, and a world that seems to exist just to test you. Official materials reinforce that the game wants to take you through dark dungeons, cursed catacombs, and wildlands, with a rich story heavily loaded with magic, blood, and vengeance. It's the kind of premise I like because it gives the gameplay room to shine without pulling you into a cutscene at every corner. Now, talking about what matters to Marvel Cosmic Invasion fans, here the joy of combat comes from brutality. The trailer and official description highlight bloody combat with finishers and fatalities, which totally changes the flavor of the brawling. It's less pretty choreography and more survive and command respect. I also like that it mixes handcrafted content, handmade levels, cinematic encounters, and bosses with a more replayable side. The site mentions a procedural main quest and dungeon runs that create new challenges every session. This hybrid, in my head, is what takes the game from a cool campaign to a game I keep coming back to for one more run. And if you're on the team that prefers beating up monsters with company I am, it already comes with solo and 2-player local co-op in story mode, controlling Zodan and Yana. Another curious thing that appears on the site is the mention of up to 3 players on screen in certain activities, suggesting there might be some delicious chaos beyond the basic story co-op. To me, Age of Barbarians Chronicles has everything to be that barbaric brawling addiction you recommend to friends with the phrase, "It's not cute, it's not gentle, but it's damn good." Underground. World War is mandatory for Marvel Cosmic Invasion fans, not because it's a beat 'em up, but because it delivers the same feeling of a game made to put friends in the same space and turn any match into a story to tell later. It's a fighting game directly inspired by the Def Jam series, with an early access release planned on PC for the first quarter of 2026. The idea is very raw. Create your own fighter or choose rappers from the underground scene and dive into an exaggerated game of stylish and theatrical brawling, exactly the way a good fighting game needs to be. The story hook is almost like a movie. A major showcase of underground artists turns into chaos after one punch. The night turns into a massacre, and you, a rising artist, end up in a coma. 3 years later, you wake up to an underground scene at war, with street fights replacing stages, and that's when the game pulls you into this hustle of reclaiming what was stolen and finding out who started it all. I like this because it gives a strong context to the single-player mode. It's not just fight after fight, it's that journey of climbing back to the top in the middle of a broken world. In the gameplay, what catches my eye is the focus on grit and improvisation. Winning is by knockout or submission, and each fighting style has its own ways of finishing. Street Fighter with heavy punches, wrestler with grapples, kickboxer with kick combos, martial artist with aerial attacks, and so on. The game also emphasizes arena impact, using walls, barriers, gates, and even the crowd to deal damage or create an opening with spectators who can push fighters back into the action, hold someone, offer weapons, or even attack. Add street weapons to that, pipes, and you have a very chaotic fighting rhythm, a true anything goes vibe that gives you that ugly fight adrenaline in the best way possible. And here comes a seasoning I always look for when thinking about replayability and competitiveness: progression and the comeback moment. There's a training hub called Mike's Gym, where you learn fundamentals and improve attributes like strength, speed, and durability, plus a rage system that fills with hits, counters, and taunts. When full, it triggers a rage move to force a change in the fight. To top it off, it promises modes like 1v1, 2v2, and free-for-all. Total chaos with split-screen PvP co-op support and remote play features, which sounds perfect for those nights when you just want one more round.
Don't let them tell you what to do, man, they don't know shit.
Catgirl Survivor 2 Beyond the Veil gives me that small game with a big heart energy, and I mean that in the best possible way. It's an action side-scroller with a very cute vibe on top, but with a much darker backdrop underneath, as a demonic invasion has shattered dimensions and scattered corrupted souls across the world. The charm is seeing this contrast work. The cat girls unite in friendship to restore balance, purifying souls, and facing brutal bosses, which creates a light adventure atmosphere on the outside and a tense one on the inside. For Marvel Cosmic Invasion fans, the connection isn't thematic but rhythmic. It's the kind of game that takes you by the hand and says, come here, just one more level. Just one more boss. What defines the package is the format. A 2D side-scrolling action game, straight to the point, focusing on advancing, hitting, dodging, and surviving difficulty spikes when bosses appear. I like it when a game like this doesn't try to reinvent the wheel too much and just delivers a satisfying core gameplay loop. And here the promise is exactly that. An adorable action journey that turns serious when the game puts you face to face with the biggest threats. If you're the type who enjoys learning enemy patterns and optimizing routes, execution, this looks like a full meal. The indicated release window is May 2026. It's also planned for Windows, Mac OS, and Linux, which is great for those who play outside the standard trio and want a lightweight title to run on more than one machine. It looks like the perfect game to alternate between short sessions and marathons. You jump in, make progress, get beaten by a boss, learn, come back, and win that routine that becomes an addiction. Now, being honest about my personal taste, I'd call this game mandatory for a Marvel Cosmic Invasion fan who also likes variety on the menu, because it swaps cooperative superhero brawling for a cute and deadly 2D fantasy with the promise of very memorable bosses. The dimension-shattered world and the idea of purifying souls already give me that hint of stages with different gimmicks and encounters that force you to change your stance from rushing in to pattern reading. He-Man and the Masters of the Universe Dragon Pearl of Destruction is practically a dream come true for those who enjoy nostalgic brawling. Imagine that same energy of pixelated fighting, insane combos, and epic bosses, but now with the power of Grayskull guiding the punches. Developed by Bitmap Bureau and published by Limited Run Games in partnership with Mattel, the game arrives in 2026 for PS5, Xbox Series, Nintendo Switch, and PC in both digital and physical formats. The premise is pure classic. Skeletor finally invades Castle Grayskull using an evil Dragon Pearl, and it's up to He-Man and his allies to cross Eternia punching hordes of evil minions to stop total chaos. I get excited just thinking about the hype, especially with the live-action He-Man movie arriving the same year. The combat is where this game shines as a hardcore 80 seconds and 90 seconds beat 'em up, but polished to today's standards. Classic arcade controls with normal attacks, specials, and super moves that fill the screen with nostalgic effects. 4 playable heroes are confirmed. He-Man leads, of course, with allies like Teela and other masters, each with unique movesets to vary the fighting style, and local co-op support to grab a friend and recreate childhood arcade sessions. The pixel art is powered up perfection with frame-perfect animations and levels that capture Eternia in all its mystical glory. Mountains, forests, and the iconic castle, all packed with enemies that require positioning and timing to clear the screen. What connects directly with Marvel Cosmic Invasion is this obsession with making combat flow like a ballet of destruction. No sponge enemies, every hit has weight, and boss patterns require learning to master. The stages promise thematic variety, with power-ups scattered around and those grab-a-friend-and-fight moments that turn a solo run into a chaotic duo party. I can already see myself spending hours grinding to unlock character variations and retro skins, maintaining that addictive sense of progress without getting tired. Man, when I first heard about Underling Uprising, I confess I was a bit skeptical. Another indie beat 'em up trying to capture the magic of the classics, but then I got my hands on the demo and damn, I felt that impact I hadn't felt since Marvel Cosmic Invasion, that game we spent nights playing with friends, discussing combos and breaking controllers from mashing buttons. The 90 seconds cartoonish look isn't just a pretty skin, it carries an energy, a personality that few modern games manage to replicate without feeling forced. The gameplay is heavy in the way we like it. You control a group of scientific experiments, the Underlings, each with completely different powers. It's not just slightly different characters talk, each one has unique mechanics that totally change how you approach the levels. There are characters with super armor for those who like to face everything head on, and others with hover and animation cancels for those who enjoy a more technical and fast style, like the infinite combos we used to discover in old arcades. The combo system is open, so you really can create your own sequences. You're not stuck in that boring press X 3 times and then Y script. And then, when you least expect it, you're surfing in a mech suit or piloting a space pod, blasting everything in sight. Those power trip moments are pure gold. Now, seriously, for those who got addicted to Marvel Cosmic Invasion like I did, this game takes that same vibe of controlled chaos and raises it to another level. Remember the feeling of switching characters mid-fight to create devastating combos? That sense of total mastery over the combat system? Underling Uprising delivers that, but with more freedom. There's no focus bar limiting your specials here. It's pure aggression, pure creativity. The 7 stages are long, varied, and have bosses that truly test your mastery of the mechanics, not just health inflation. Arcade mode is perfect for those just one more run sessions until 4 AM, and 4-player local co-op is exactly what we need when friends show up with beer and a desire to wreck some enemies. What really got me was the soul of the game. You can feel that the developers at Dummy Dojo truly understand what makes a beat-em-up special. It's not just about punching buttons, it's about expression, about mastering a system so deep that you see possibilities where you once only saw enemies. When you finally execute that perfect combo, that animation cancel that saves your life at the last second, or when you and your friends synchronize different supers to erase a boss from existence. Man, it's orgasmic. Seriously, if you loved the hidden depth of Marvel Cosmic Invasion, you'll feel right at home here. City of Rampage is exactly the kind of game that feels like it was born from an insane late night playing Streets of Rage and flipping through old torn comic books in the corner of the room. It's a super intense 2D beat 'em up, entirely built as if you were inside a comic book, but with a much more aggressive and modern edge. The city is this stylized urban chaos, full of thugs, neon, hard shadows, and that if I blink, I'm dead atmosphere, which pairs perfectly with anyone who already fell in love with the cosmic scale and visual chaos of Marvel Cosmic Invasion. It's the kind of game you look at and think, okay, this was made by someone who grew up getting beaten up in arcades. The combat, to me, is the heart of the matter. It basically uses the 4 controller buttons, but what comes out of that is much deeper than it looks at first glance. You have basic strikes, launchers, grapples, air juggles, counters, evasions, and it all fits in a way that rewards those who like to dissect fighting systems. Enemies don't wait politely at the side of the screen. They charge in full force, some with iframes, others with dodges and counters, others attacking from a distance. It's the kind of game that punishes you if you go on autopilot. It's the same feeling Marvel Cosmic Invasion gives when you realize it's not just button mashing. You need to read patterns, position yourself, choose your target wisely, and use the character's kit intelligently. What I really enjoy about City of Rampage is how it makes you feel vulnerable but never cheated, at least if you go in expecting a heavy challenge. Getting juggled by an enemy, watching your bar melt as they hit you from side to side, gives you that good old school game rage, but at the same time, you know that if you master the system, you can turn the tables and do the exact same to them. The learning curve feels tailor-made for those who got hooked on games like Marvel Cosmic Invasion. First you survive, then you start to add style, testing combo routes, seeing what cancels into what, until you reach that point where clearing a screen full of enemies becomes almost a choreography. If you're a fan of Marvel Cosmic Invasion, I'd say City of Rampage is that dirtier, more direct street cousin, but with the same ambition of giving you deep combat in a visually striking world. It doesn't have the space scale, but it makes up for it with a very heavy urban atmosphere and a constant sense of danger. It's the kind of game that asks you to come back, try again, master a section better, clear an area without taking damage, and discover a more efficient route. And honestly, that's what makes it mandatory. It's not just another beat 'em up. It's one of those titles that speaks directly to those who like to explore systems to the limit and transform chaos into a spectacle, exactly as we do in Marvel Cosmic Invasion.